If it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, then it's going to be a duck. Right, listen, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back. In the past 3 years, I've made at least 4 Jon Jones videos, right? And all of them have been pertaining to Jon Jones ducking, right? Yes, ducking smoke. The first couple of videos were Jon Jones ducking Francis Ngannou, right? Jon Jones sat out for 3 years while Francis Ngannou reigned as a heavyweight champion in the UFC. He was knocking out former UFC champions, knocking them out cold in the first round. Francis Ngannou's knocked out 3 former UFC champions in the first round, and other top level components have been knocked out, dispatched off, all of them in the first round, outside of Stipe Miocic, who got knocked out in the second round. So Francis' legacy is secured. Jon Jones says he wanted legacy fights. He wants to fight guys with big resumes and stuff like that. Francis was there waiting for him, and he ducked. He didn't take the opportunity. Now, I think it's crazy that you get a lot of UFC fanboys that actually come out and say, no, Francis ducked Jon. This is ludicrous. I don't know how these channels, these fans, these pundits actually come out and say this. And to tell you the truth, there are still fanboys out here protecting Jon Jones, saying, no, Jones ain't really ducking, you just got to look at it properly. Get the fuck out of here. Are you serious? We've already been through this already. 3 years of avoiding Francis Ngannou. And some of you guys, do you not remember how hard it was to get him into the octagon against Dominic Reyes? Some of you that have been watching MMA for a little while now, right? Not the newbies who have just come and found out and listened to Dana White saying, Jon Jones is the GOAT. No. He was trying to actively avoid Dominic Reyes, right? The fans got on his back, and eventually the fight was forced. He had to force to fight Reyes. He fought Reyes, and a lot of people felt like he lost that fight. Don't even get me started on the Thiago Santos fight, right? I'll probably have to bring that up in another video, but got lots to say on that. Jon Jones is ducking. All you MMA fans, this is one of the things that got the UFC popular in the last 20, 25, 30 years. The best fight the best. There's no ducking. Don't matter who you are, where you come from, what your resume is. If you have a #1 contender, or if there's an interim belt out there and you're the champion, you take that fight. There's no ducking, there's no warm-up fights. It's straight in there. And this is what's attracted a lot of combat sports fans to the UFC. It attracted me, right? Then, down the years, a few years later, the UFC started to establish a few stars. Ronda Rousey, Conor McGregor, Jon Jones is already established there, then we started to notice a small trend, how the UFC were protecting some of these fighters now. Now this is starting to move into the boxing model now. This is the reason why a lot of people don't like boxing, or moved away from boxing, because you get a lot of warm-up fights, fighters being protected, cash cows, being protected by their promoters and stuff like that, trying to avoid the big fights. I.e., we've got guys like Canelo Alvarez avoiding Benavidez and various other fighters. Tank Davis doesn't want to fight a live opponent. Errol Spence avoided Terence Crawford for the best part of 5 years. Deontay Wilder sat on his WBC belt and was fighting subpar opposition for many years until he met Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury himself on this channel, well, this is the reanimated channel, but myself, I was the one that called out Tyson Fury, right, last year and said he is ducking Alexander Usyk. The video went viral, and that's when the whole YouTube combat sports boxing community, even the MMA fans, got involved and said Tyson Fury's ducking Usyk. We want to see that fight, right? I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet here, but I was one of the first to call him out and recognize he ain't gonna fight. He didn't want to fight, and we finally got the fight over the line. Jon Jones is adamant he doesn't want to fight Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall has an interim belt, right? Knocked out 5 UFC top contenders in the first round. That is a resume. I don't care. You got content creators coming out saying Aspinall's resume is overrated. He's knocked out 5 top UFC contenders in the first round. What is there overrated about that? What is overhyped about that? I've never seen Jon Jones knock out a soul. Since the beginning of Jon Jones's career, I have never seen Jon knock anybody out with a punch. Aspinall's knocked out 5 5 top contenders, 5 top 10 contenders. John Jones has only beaten Cyril Gane, right? Outside of that, he hasn't no heavyweights. He hasn't beaten a heavyweight. So whose resume would you say is thicker? It's obviously Tom Aspinall, because John Jones has got a resume of beating guys that were smaller than him. A lot of guys that were coming up from middleweight, i.e. Lyoto Machida, Mauricio Shogun Hua, Stephan Bonner, Chael Sonnen. All these guys came up from middleweight to light heavyweight. They were small guys. Now John's fighting a guy his own size. He's reluctant to fight. It's the same thing with Reyes. He didn't want to fight Reyes. Reyes being the same size, same stature as John. There was no advantage for John. John usually has an advantage over his opponents. And we saw the Gustafsson fight, the first one where, Gustafsson being a similar height, similar dynamics to John. John struggled, right? And then we had the rematch, okay, but then people say, oh yeah, but he beat Gustafsson in the rematch. But you're forgetting, he was spiking for picograms. Right? The UFC was trying to hold the event, UFC 300 and something, I think it was, something like that. The event was scheduled to go ahead in Nevada, Las Vegas, right? The Vegas Commission says, John Jones is dodgy, we think he's cheating, we're not going to sanction a fight because he's pulsing with picograms in his system. If it was boxing, he wouldn't have been allowed to fight. So, what the UFC did is they cancelled the fight in Nevada, they moved the whole card to California just so John could fight spiked up on picograms, right? And he went out there and he kicked the shit out of Alexander Gustafsson. He looked like he was enhanced, right? Another content creator uses that word, that phrase I should say. So I'm gonna take it, right? He looked enhanced. Shout out to manager Marty. He looked enhanced. John Jones that night. He looked enhanced. And for a man that's popped maybe 3-4 times, he's popped 3 to 4 times this guy's popped something in his system. You cannot sit back and say this guy hasn't been cheating throughout his whole career, right? Fighting smaller guys from middleweight, spiking up on picograms, being caught with trainer balls, stuff like that. The guy's a mess. He's a mess. John Jones is a mess. But not only that, I'm not here to dig him out on his personal life. There's a lot to be said on that. I'm just saying he won't fight Aspinall. And he's calling out Alex Pereira. He's saying, well, Pereira will be a better fight. Pereira's got a better legacy than Tom Aspinall. Listen, I disagree. I disagree with that. You've moved up to heavyweight. You've done your thing at light heavyweight, yeah, where you've dominated for years. Pereira's come up from middleweight up to light heavyweight. He's dominating 2 divisions. Adesanya beat him, right? Was the last man to beat him, Israel Adesanya. Tom Aspinall's never lost a fight. He's knocked out 5 of the top 10 heavyweights in the first round. That is a resume. That is somebody you should be looking for, right? He's on a tear right now. John's like, oh, he's done nothing. He's knocked out 5 heavyweights. You haven't done nothing of the sort. You've only beaten Cyril Gane, a guy that was tailor-made for you. A kickboxer basically. He's not even an MMA fighter, Gane. He's a kickboxer. John just took him down and strangled him. And that's what John wants to do to Pereira. He wants to take Pereira down and strangle him. And this is the thing. John cannot do that to Aspinall. Aspinall's just as big as John, if not bigger. Probably just as strong as John. And he also has been doing jiu-jitsu since he was a kid. Right? So John's not going to have his way with him on the ground. Also, Tom's knocked out 5 of the last 5 top 10 UFC heavyweight contenders. So he definitely has knockout power in his punch. Knocked out Curtis Blades, knocked out Tabora, knocked out Pavlovich. He's knocked out some killers. And I think John's frightened, to tell you the truth. John is frightened to fight Tom Aspinall. Right? So stop giving John Jones, he's not ducking. All these you simps. Shut up, man. Shut up, man. John Jones is ducking Tom Aspinall. And the sooner you guys realise it, right, we'll get to do something about it. This is turning like boxing now. UFC has come like boxing now. If anything, Turki Al-Sheikh has come into boxing and shaken the whole game up. We're now getting competitive fights in boxing. And then when we look over the fence at the UFC, they have turned to what boxing used to be. Protecting the cash cow, John Jones, letting him fight Stipe Miocic, No disrespect to Stipe Miocic, because I believe Stipe Miocic is the greatest UFC heavyweight champion ever, right? Ever. But he's 42 years old and he hasn't fought in 4 years. He doesn't have a win. He hasn't had a win in 5 years. Come on now. Come on now. Anyway, look, enough said. Personally, I hope Stipe Miocic goes out and knocks John's fucking head off. I'll tell you the truth, because he's annoying. I want to see Stipe Miocic beat John Jones, right? And then unify. If he wants to retire, retire. And then, you know, if John loses, let's see if he wants to fight Aspinall. If he can get a shot at Aspinall, if he'd fight Aspinall. I am very interested to see John fight another heavyweight, yeah? Because Gan was a gimme fight. You got to think this. Look, Gan's last fight was a loss to Francis Ngannou. And then he gets put in a title fight with John. That don't make sense. He lost a title fight to Francis and then gets a title shot against John. It should have been Tom or Pavlovich who got that original shot. But the UFC knew what they're doing, and I don't think John would want to fight any of those guys. Anyway, look, listen, enough said. Smash the like button, hit the bell for notifications, get all the new latest videos.